I know I'm going to ask this in a sarcastic fashion, and I apologize in advance for that. But Chris Young knows that we need offense to win games too, right?
You sound like Bobby Belt. Yes, no, he does. I want to say something about the financial part before we go into that.
Right.
Whether the Rangers win 70 games or 97 games, the financial the financial opportunity that they have compared to teams like the Guardians and the Brewers and whatnot is not prohibitive. There's, and I think Chris Young would be the first person to tell you they've got more than enough money to win a World Series. I know fans might have different scales on that, but it does maybe, act prohibitively. And all right, do you want to go and get Kyle Tucker? Do you want to go trade for Luis Robert and, take chance there? So you look at what they have. All right, well, you got Josh Young at third. You got Corey Seager at short. Second base is open. First base, is Jake Berger potentially with a platoon. But in the outfield, you've got Evan Carter, you got Wyatt Langford, and now you got Brandon Nimmo. And you did make I think a big upgrade with Brandon Nimmo. Your catching spot is now in a much better position offensively with Higgy and Danny Jansen compared to Higgy and Heim. But there's not a lot of, unless you were to move Josh Young or move one of these guys, there's not a lot of room. And so, I think the big thing that they need is for these guys to be better. They need Josh Young to be better. And we talked to Josh about this on Monday. He knows that. They need Evan Carter to be better, and they need him to be healthy. You need Wyatt Langford to take a step forward. You need Jock Peterson to just be, I said this morning, 75% of who he was in 2024. And you've got a guy who is now going to be a good contributor. Jake Berger to be better. Now, the reality is, and we've talked about this, are all of those guys going to be better? Or is the answer to all of those wishes going to come true? No, but you don't need them all to come true. If half of those things happen, this lineup is going to be, at worst, a league average lineup, and a league average lineup with arguably the best rotation is a group that can win games and play in the playoffs. And gosh, get in the playoffs with Evaldi, DeGrom, Mackenzie Gore, Jack Leiter, whatever it looks like. That's a pretty salty group there.